All right, we are back in business. Back in business. Here we go. We had our little break. Played with our RC cars. Um, the battery died on. Usually when we get out here, our battery usually dies. And we haven't been out here to the border. And when I say border, I mean the border of Nevada and California. Walking the line. No, so we haven't been out here RCing it up for a while, but I think we're gonna get back into it. I do greatly appreciate RC cars. Yes, we're going home, bud. And we got to finish painting we have the Power Wagon shell for our SCX 2024, I believe. If I said the acronym incorrectly, I apologize, because I don't remember all of the names and acronyms for every item that I own or that we have owned. So it was not on purpose. Shout out to Axial for making such amazing RC cars. Definitely, if we have an excess of income, we'll absolutely be buying more RC cars. Actually, if we have an excess of income, look, I'm gonna just keep it real. We are going to town on Legos, because Legos absolutely are something that I have enjoyed my whole life. I remember when I was a child, my mother always likes to tell me the story that, my grandparents, they lived in Mexico. And I remember, when I was a young child, I got to go visit them, quite a few times. So I'm grateful for that opportunity. But I remember I was very, I don't want to say stubborn, maybe that's the lack of a word, but I was very, I would set my intentions when I was a young child. And I remember my mother, she told me one time, she's like, I just came to her, I said, I'm going to visit my grandpa. And she just didn't think of anything of it, but I grabbed my little suitcase. It was just full of Legos, because apparently when I was a little kid, that's the only thing that mattered. I didn't need spare clothes. I didn't need anything else other than my little briefcase of Legos. And I remember she said I went quite a distance. Lucky for us that it was just kind of like this one road, and I just kept going straight. She said I almost made it to where there was a church on El Camino. I forget El Camino and what, but in Millbrae. But I almost got to this church, and she said that she was lucky, because then it was you could either go left or right on El Camino. So then it would have been an issue, because I don't know which direction I would have went. So I'm glad my mother caught up to me, brought me home, and all things were well. But that's kind of like a reoccurring thing for me. I just up and decide, I'm like, yo, I'm going here, and then that's what I would do. I was just like, yo, I was a very adventurous child, as I still believe that I'm an adventurous adult. Young adult is what I would like to say. I believe that I am a young adult. I think 40 years, we all have a different perspective of what is young and what is old. I say I'm 40 years young, and I would consider myself a young adult. I really would. I don't necessarily think 40 years is enough time. I got to be careful these branches, because I'm running tubeless. I'm running a tubeless setup on my bike, but unfortunately on the Hammocks child carrier trolley, I don't know what it's called, but I wasn't able to run tubeless. I forget the other brand. There's another brand I would like to try, where it runs like a fatter tire, so I think I can run tubeless. So I'm actually, look, I love having, I realize there's positives and negatives to everything. So having a son, I did liquidate the majority of my assets and things to compensate for all the expenses of having a child, and I'm absolutely okay with that. Yeah, I'd much rather have richness of experience with other people, and especially kids, because I had a friend that I used to work with. Shout out to you, Stu. But he used to always tell me that. He's like, I love being a dad. He's got three boys. And he said, at first it's difficult, because when they're a baby, you can't really do anything with them. But, as time progresses, they get into the same things that you are into, or they get excited for the same things you get excited for. So, he was just applying it to himself. And he liked to play video games, so he could play video games with his kids, or he enjoyed I forget what, he's just when he get excited to for whatever. I think he played football, but I feel the same way. I get excited for Legos. I love building Legos, and I've noticed that my son has that same passion. It's that love for like creating and seeing what you can make. And there's no doubt in my mind that our second son will have that same passion, and I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited to take these two young gentlemen to places and really explore and learn. I want to learn all over again, because I realized that when I was a kid, or a young adult, that was like 30 plus years ago. So I'm very, very excited to experience a lot of the things that I feel like I would love to kind of rekindle my romance with Legos, with space, just learning about space exploration, just a lot of stuff. And I realize that same thing too, when you revisit things, that you get to kind of see it through a new, fresh set of eyes. And I think that's what keeps you young. I really do. I think age is just a number. I absolutely believe that. And I'm definitely very excited to relearn things myself, grow as a human being. I think that's what keeps life worth living, is realizing that, and I'm just speaking for myself, I don't have all the answers, nor do I ever want to have all the answers. I think that when you start to feel like you got all the answers, that's probably when you should probably start over and reevaluate your situation. And I'm just speaking for myself. I know not everyone's in the same situation, but I'm excited. I have noticed too, he's got his little Strider balance bike, and he's getting good with that. So I'm excited for when my son and my two sons, we can go ride bike together. I'm excited for that as well. Like, there's so many things. I think a lot of times people focus on just the difficult aspects of being a parent. And don't get me wrong, our first son is almost 4. He's going to be 4 years old soon, in a couple months. And there definitely is a lot of struggle, and the cost to entry is high, and the learning curve is high. Obviously, that's absolutely true. But I think it's also important to realize that without any pain and struggle, there can't be any growth. I think that growth comes also within. he's so annoying. I know, I talk a lot. Daddy is so annoying. I'm just trying to, I just like to record my thoughts, but he does. He gets annoyed. I have to reflect. I want to give him, I don't know if you could hear him. He's letting Daddy gets annoying. But I enjoy it. Like, another thing I realized, no one's got to watch my content. I just appreciate being able to vocalize my opinions, my ideas, my thoughts, my impressions, my motivation, my hope, my desires. I appreciate being able to vocalize them and put them on a platform that hopefully will always be here. And maybe that's all I'm saying, Dami. Maybe down the road one day, maybe you'll want to watch my channel, and if not, that's okay too. I would never expect my sons, daughters, whoever, people I'm related to, people I care about, I would never expect them to listen to me, but maybe, who knows, maybe one day you'll have some free time, or maybe you'll decide, hey, what does my dad think? And then you'll have a plethora of hours, hundreds of hours of video or whatever, and you can see what I was about. I kind of wish that YouTube or Tap ever existed when my father was younger. I would have loved to, and that's where I like to self-reflect. I do. I think it would have been so cool to see my dad, even if no one else is watching. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter. I think sometimes we get caught up in hundreds of followers, millions of followers. I don't think that matters. I think if my father had a YouTube channel, and even if it was just like 5 people following him, but that would, that was there, and then I could go and just like watch the videos. And that's what I appreciate too about people who are no longer with us, who have passed away or been taken from us. I'm grateful that, those videos, and, inspire people after their death. That's actually the most motivating thing, is that, sometimes you might not have been able to know a person. They might have passed away, been taken from our planet, our community, before you even learned about them, but you're able to be inspired by their videos. That to me is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So I'm grateful for that. I'm definitely grateful for that. The ability to look back at videos that are 10, 11, 12 years old and just see the excitement, the love, the passion from some people. Definitely younger people that are taken from us way before their prime. That's unfortunate, but that's something we can't change. But we can allow their words and their videos to impact us so that we can make a better day for our children and their children's children. Okay, now I'm just getting a little silly and happy, so I got to focus here. Continue to push. That's what I need to make my slogan. Continue to move forward. That's what I realized that's a beautiful thing about staying healthy, is you can never ride on your previous achievements. I might have been in tip-top amazing bad A shape, but all it takes is a few months of a lack of discipline, or thinking that I got it, or I'm special, or somehow the rules don't apply to me, and then guess what? I'm back at square zero, hustling again, trying to work off this fat. That's what I'm trying to do, and I'm just speaking to myself, trying to motivate myself. I don't like how I feel when I'm overweight or I have an excess of fat. That's how I'd like to say it. It's more specific, because I realized I could weigh the same amount as I do now, but it could be muscle, and that's going to be a far different situation. So I know when I look at myself in the mirror naked and I say, look, that's not impressive, and that's what matters to me, is when I could be like, okay, dang, I look good. I love that. And that's one thing I love about exercise. I really do. Is that, when I work out a lot, I don't really think about what I'm eating. I really don't. So it's like a win-win, and the challenge or the difficult part is the struggle that occurs while I'm working out. That's the struggle, right? When I'm out here and, I lose a feeling in my hands or my legs, or the grind is just unreal. My back is aching. My head is throbbing. That's the pay, and that's what I love about working out, is you pay first and then you reap the rewards. I actually appreciate that more. It's like the opposite of, like credit cards. I'll pay first. I want to pay first. And don't get me wrong, I've used credit cards and they've helped me in a lot of situations, but all I'm saying is I would much prefer how things are when you work out. That's why I love running, because running, it's usually, if we're honest, running is not enjoyable when you're running, but the enjoyment is afterwards, when I eat a whole pizza for myself. That's one thing I do love, pizzas. I absolutely love pizza. Shout out to Lego. I was thinking about this yesterday while Dami and I were watching their Lego cartoon shows, is I'm like, yo, I really think that they should do, I know they did just with the release of the new Batman, they did the Batmobile, or the Batman car. It looks awesome, $100. I definitely want to get that. But I was thinking, I was like, yo, if they did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, their van, and I know, and my wife was showing me, like, they did a van, like, I don't know how long ago, but I just think now, like, we could just come back to a lot of these things, or even Thundercats. I really feel like Lego. I mean, you could almost do a Legos of anything. Actually, what would be cool, I would love to see like Legos, like Lego animated movies, and just redo like old movies, because shout out to one of my favorite, most amazing, I'm grateful, Bruce Willis. I'm a true huge fan of Die Hard, but just hearing that he lost 2/3 of his hearing shooting that one scene where he was under the table shooting up, I'm like, dang, that sucks. We could, and I don't think you lose anything. I think you could still have still a great experience if we had these movies redone in an animated form where we could protect the actor. And here's the thing, I know people say, look, he got millions of dollars. Yeah, but I'm just speaking from my own personal experience in accidents when I was working. If you mess up your back or whatever, yeah, you get whatever amount of money, and I just applied to myself. So what? So you gave me $80,000. I really hurt my back. That money is gone within a year. And then what? I got to deal with the back pain for the rest of my life. So, and I'm sure that's accentuated for him as well. I don't know how much money he was compensated for loss of hearing, but that's something that you got to live with for the rest of your life. So I think that's something that, I think it's very, I would say, just not cool. Maybe that's just not cool to be like, well, he's rich. I don't think that matters. I think anyone who's had to deal with significant injuries that compromise your ability to do all the things that you love, I'm sure most people, if they're honest with themselves, they would say they would much rather have the ability to walk without pain or do whatever without pain, as opposed to having whatever number of dollars that you got. That's just how I feel. Maybe there's people out there who have been severely compromised from their work environments that are like, no, I'd rather have the money. Well, I don't know. Maybe you're just different than me. I'd rather not have to deal with the pain. So I think that, I'm just saying, Lego, let's see, maybe I'm just being selfish here, but what about doing a Die Hard Lego movie? I think that would be really cool. Just remake the movie. I think it would be really cool. Or any movie, really. I realize that. That's where I think Lego has a very unique situation. I mean, you could almost literally do Legos for any show. I think they did a Lego for Friends, which I was like, that is awesome. Central Perk in a Lego form. That is very cool. And I actually really like the fact that Lego is doing a lot more Legos for adults. I don't think you have to stop playing with Legos when you reach a certain age. I think that's silly. I really do. I think you can play with Legos no matter how old you are, because really it has to do with you using your brain. You using, just keeping yourself stimulated within your own mind. I think that's important. I think when you get stagnant in your thoughts, that's when you start to die. And that's my own, and I keep saying it's my own opinion. When your ideas, when you stop thinking and being creative, I think that's when you start to die internally. I think that's the problem with most of the social media that I see now is, and I'm sure people are the same way when they watch my content. They're like, what the fuck is this guy saying? But that's how I feel like when I see a lot of TikTok videos or whatever. I'm just like, I don't see the point. And my mind is not being stimulated, so I get bored. But I realize some people, they could watch TikTok, Instagram, or whatever. They could look at it for hours. So, I've always realized, or not always realized, but that's stuck in my head that, the way you look at people is the way they look at you. It's a mirror. It definitely is a mirror. So I'm not here to say that anyone should stop going on TikTok, excuse me. They're like, this old man, he can't even talk right. This guy's so old. I don't think I'm old, baby. I really don't. When I say baby, I say, look, Planet Earth, you're my sweetheart. Okay, now I'm just messing around. But the reality is, I don't want to take away anyone's enjoyments. But all I have to say is, look, your mind is just like a muscle, any other muscle on your body. It atrophies if you're not stimulating it. And I don't mean stimulate by entertainment. I just mean, look, no one can, here's the thing, I apply it back to like lifting weights. My electric bike can pedal for me, and then I'm just going through the motions. And I think that's what's going on right now with social media and stuff. Like, the work has to come from within you. It's like me pedaling. I have to exert myself in order to get the benefit of the workout. If I have an electric motor doing all the work, I'm not saying e-bikes are bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if I'm not exerting myself, then the only person I'm lying to is myself. And it really is true, because I'm not going to see any sort of reward. Now, granted, I'll see a reward from being outside, or, getting vitamin D or whatever, hanging out with people. I think there's always those rewards, absolutely. But to think that, I'm just going to get a bike and I don't have to pedal and somehow I'm going to get in this amazing shape, that's just me lying to myself. And don't get me wrong, I think we all lie to ourselves to a certain extent. We absolutely do. But now, in this moment in time, while I'm out here hustling, I want to be honest with myself and say, look, there's a lot of things I love. I need to make some things happen. I make some money so we can play with more Legos. I thought about this the other day, that if I did have, assuming like I pay, obviously first and foremost paying my bills, electricity, having water, a roof over my head, those are always more important than anything else. But once those things are taken care of, I would love to get back into the hobbies that I've always had throughout my life. Dami, I would love to just get more Legos, build our Legos. He likes to break them at the moment. I'm okay with that, because then I'll just be like, yo, we'll rebuild something and we'll make it to something else. Or I like having all the spare parts as well. And then we could build, some other thing. We can get creative with it. I'd like to get back into shooting, and not just the same firearms that I had before. No, I'd like to get into different disciplines. I realize there's a lot of other things that have been released into the firearm community that didn't exist when I was heavy into shooting. I'd like to get back into reloading. That's another thing I noticed, that, it's true. I don't remember who told me this, but, when you start reloading, it's cheaper, but you don't spend any less money. You just shoot more. And that's absolutely true. I just appreciate reloading. I really do. You can cater your rounds to, and that's the other thing too, is like, people don't understand, is like, I could reload 45 ACP to a lighter. My main powders of choice were Bullseye, Unique. I forget all the powders. My goodness. But you could drop the powder down on 45 ACP, and then you really could introduce someone to 45 without. Because I had and here's the other thing. I had a Thunder Ranch 325 that has the was it aluminum or alloy frame, but that made shooting 45 very. I was shocked at how much more recoil you felt in your hand compared to like shooting 45 ACP out of 1911, and that's the other reason that I'm not necessarily too hungry to get an automatic movement watch, because I'd like to get back into shooting, and I don't know, I think just the G-Shock makes more sense to me, because I appreciate and love shooting. That's been a hobby of mine probably since my dad introduced me to firearms when I was a young child. I remember back in the day, he would always go to like Berkeley, I forget where, it was like in the newspaper. You could just go, he would just buy random different guns. And I always loved that. I felt like, I know I'm exaggerating, but I felt like every month he had like a different gun, and like, it was just like random stuff that you didn't, I don't know, and we lived in the Bay Area in California. So that was something I always found really awesome. I really did. I love that exposure, and I hope I can do the same for my sons and daughters. Who knows how many kids eventually I'll have, but I would love to do that for my children as well. Just trying to expose them to all these different disciplines, and maybe something they like, some things they don't. I would never want to force, and that's the other thing, he never like forced me to go shooting. I just really enjoyed it. He liked to do it, and I appreciated him, so I naturally kind of gravitated towards shooting. And looking back, my parents, they did argue a lot over finances and money, but I remember whenever we would go to the range, that was like one of the times when there was no arguing. It was just shooting, so it was one of those things where I appreciated the calmness of everyone getting along and just being able to experience something together. So that's something I would like to get back into. And the same thing with motorcycles. I was really heavy into motorcycles. Primarily Harley Davidson. I was telling my wife this, if I'm honest with myself, spent way too much money on motorcycles. I probably gave Harley Davidson probably over $100,000 in my money over the course of a decade. But that's something I would love to get back into. I really would. Just riding cross country. I really enjoyed that. I really do. I really enjoy the network that Harley provides. I think that was one of the things I'm also grateful for, being able to go to college in Wisconsin. I got to know people that were intimately connected with the motor company, and that was just cool. I just love that. I really do. Let me think, what else would I love to get back into? I think that's traveling too, obviously, and eating. I just loved, that goes back to exercising too. I'd like to compete again, whether it's cycling or running. I thought about that last night. I just want to get back. Maybe I'll sign up for a marathon at the beginning of next year, maybe at the end of this year. Because I realize when I sign up for a race, it makes it real in my mind, and I'm like, I can't slack anymore. Even though right now I don't think I'm slacking, I'm kind of like easing myself back into working out. But I realize that once I put something on the calendar, once I pay for a race, then it becomes real, and then I start getting more motivated because I'm like, okay, I don't want to. Number one, I've always finished every marathon that I've ran, and that's not to say like there were some that I just was decimated, like I barely walk. I think there was one I was with my wife. I barely crossed at the 6-hour mark. I remember I was so messed up. I was like in the last. I just remember they were like opening the streets back up, and I was like, fuck no, am I not finishing this race? That's actually very embarrassing. So I did not appreciate the position I put myself in. And granted, I know sometimes you can't help it, because if you get injured, I get that. And I think I did have some sort of injury, but I was like, you know what? I was dead set. I told my wife that. I was like, look, I would have called you and said, look, I'm walking this. I don't care if they open up the roads. I'm gonna fucking get on the sidewalk and finish this goddamn race, because that's just my mindset. I wanted to finish. I'm always, if I start something, I want to finish it. That's absolutely true. So, I got sidetracked there, but no, no, because I remember that. I was like, they were opening up the roads, and I was like, oh, fuck no, bro, I'm going to finish this race if it kills me. But no, I loved, that was, I've done, I don't know how, the San Francisco Marathon, I don't know how many times I've done it, but I really love that. I did the Dublin Marathon in 2007. I love that as well. I absolutely love that. You go through and I don't know if the race has changed, but I remember going through residential areas, and people would cheer you on from their homes, give you food. That's another thing I really appreciated, just the camaraderie, the fact that people were they cared, they willing to I don't know, share they come part with you, I don't know, sometimes I mix Spanish with English, but compartir, to just give you a little piece of what they got. So I'm grateful for that. Let me think. I can't think right now, but no, I would love to do a marathon. I do love Hong Kong. That was an amazing place to visit. I wonder what the Hong Kong Marathon would be like. That would be epic, bro. That would be epic. Now I'm just throwing out cities. Absolutely would love to do a marathon in Japan. I feel like I'd want to seriously commit to that. If I was able to go to Japan and run a marathon, I would definitely want to take probably a year and just freaking really get into the best shape of my life that I could. Let me think though, realistically in the States, I would love to do Orlando. I don't know what the Orlando Marathon is, or I don't even know if Disney has a marathon. Maybe they do. That would be cool as well. Or you know what? I've never really been to New York City. Maybe that would be a cool one to do in New York City. I do love, I guess, the thing I love about the San Francisco Marathon is I love the hills. I love how, I just love how humbling hills are. I think that's one thing sometimes people don't take into account, and that's what I'm very grateful for, is that I could be like, yo, because I've, spoken with people like, it's all the same. Nah, bro, it's not all the same. You just wait. You think you run on flat, and you think you're beast mode on flat, but look, when you start throwing in some really steep inclines and declines, it changes the game. It is a definitely game changer. So I do love that. So just throwing places out. Let me think. Now I'm appreciating my own video here. Let me think where I would also love to. I don't. Well, yeah. Let me think. I've never been to like England, so I definitely would do maybe London Marathon. I don't know how that is, but let's just keep it. Oh, one I would love to do, because I still have family in Mexico. I would love to do Mexico City Marathon. I think that would be really cool. Let me think. But I never ran the Las Vegas Marathon. I just never really had. I know living here in Southern Nevada, I'd be like, well, how come you never did that? I don't know. I just never. I don't know. I think, I'm just being honest. Circumstances led me to come to Southern Nevada. Based on, my father being diagnosed with cancer and wanting to help my family. But I really, if someone, and I'm just reflecting. I'm not disappointed. I think I've gotten a lot of experience by living in Nevada, and I'm grateful for that. But would I have moved here if those things would have been different? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I could think of a lot of other places I personally was more interested in visiting. The reality is I probably would have just stayed in Wisconsin. I've never met more welcoming people than I met in Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, you gotta say it like that, Wisconsin. And I love cheese. So look, cheese curds. Look, all I'm saying is I would have got real fat. But I really liked it. I loved Wisconsin. I really did. Let me think here. I don't. Well, okay. So look, all I'm saying is definitely on my list of places that I would love to migrate to, experience, live. Definitely, Florida's high on that list for me, just because my personal reasons. I love NASA and space. I want to be able to take my sons, my kids to Disney World. I absolutely love that. I'm grateful that my son and I were able to go to Disneyland for a day. I'm very grateful for that. That was absolutely epic. I wish that could have been longer, but that's life, right? You got to take what you get. That's what I say. You got to take what you can get, or what God gives you, and appreciate it and live it to the maximum. Enjoy it. I could have easily complained and been like, oh, I'll only get one day with my son in Disneyland. But no, that was so awesome, and I'm grateful for that. If anything, it just let me know that, I absolutely want to take that to the next level. So definitely would want to visit Epcot, all of the, and Harry Potter, Harry Potter is definitely one of those. I do love Harry Potter. I had a ritual. Back when I was working, I would go shooting every weekend at competitions with my friends, and when I get home, I'd clean my guns, and my wife and I would watch Harry Potter. That was our ritual. So it's like something that we did every weekend, and I like that. And even coming home with pizzas. Look, I'm obsessed with pizza. Okay, that's how I feel like I'm a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Is I just love eating pizza. But so. That is another, Harry Potter World is another place I would love to visit. There's a lot. And, Law Enforcement Memorial, would like to visit that in Florida. I'm trying to think a lot of others. I just love the beach as well. So I would like to get into maybe scuba diving. That's something I've never experienced. Shout out to Cowboy Cerrone. Really, I remember the last time, no, not last time, because it's been a long time since it's actually been a long time since I've actually listened to Joe Rogan. It's probably been like 4 or 5 years. And not because I appreciate the gentleman. It's just that there's so many people, there's so much content. I just can't keep up. I'm trying to develop my own ideas and content as well. So I just think that there gets a point where you're like, yo, I got family. I want to be able to sleep. I want to be able to learn stuff too on my own. It's too much. It really is too much for one person just to keep up with everyone. I realize, I want to get back, like I said, get back into motorcycles, but maybe not just Harley. I'd like to get into other. I owned a Triumph Thruxton, which I liked a lot. That was my first motorcycle. My last one was a Kawasaki Z900RS Cafe, which I love that bike too. That was an awesome bike. I only sold because, it's just finances. Times get tough. I'm not just me. I'm sure everyone else has been hurting the last few years as well. But I'd say in the last 3-4 years, I've literally sold off almost everything I've owned. So, but I realize that that's not forever. I'd like to believe that. I'd like to get another motorcycle. The bike that I really had high on my list was a BMW R18. I just think that's a badass motorcycle. I definitely would want hard bags. Oh, no, I think there is a Grand Touring model. So I just think that bike is so cool. The engine, I've never ridden one. Obviously, I would ride it first before I made my decision. But I just love that concept of, instead of moving that back tire, that motorcycle does not move that back tire. It moves the planet underneath the tire. I don't know. I forget. Yemi Noob said it better, but look, I'm just quoting a gentleman that I appreciate and look up to. But no, I would love to get another Harley. I really would. Harley would be my obvious choice just because of my history with the company. I have a long history with enjoying, appreciating, purchasing. When I did my cross-country tour, I rode from San Francisco to Boston. When I got to Boston, I had I forget what year, I think it was 07, Dyna FXDX. I had a premature cam chain tensioner failure when I got to Boston. But shout out to Boston Harley Davidson. They hooked me up. I forget the name of the gentleman that rebuilt my engine, but I did all Screaming Eagle parts. And I'm actually, just being positive. Yeah, I had that premature failure, that cam chain tensioner failure, but my gosh, bro, that gentleman that I dumped like $8,000 into that new motor. So that bike, I probably spent $7,000 or $8,000 buying that motorcycle, and then I spent $8,000 rebuilding the engine. But bro, when you ride, especially because the Dynas are just this lighter platform, very awesome riding motorcycle. But once I rebuilt the motor, it was like night and day. That was an absolute beast, a beast of a motorcycle. I had the compression releases. I just loved when you started up that bike. It was just like you let people know that you were riding something a little bit different. Just the sound of the bike when you fired it up. And I love thunderheaders too. The 2-in-1 thunderheader style exhaust. That was I just have some bias. There's things that I know I like, I appreciate. I just love the sound of the thunderheader. I know people do the 2-in-1 but go shorter. I'm not a big fan. I love the sound of the thunderheader. Like, look, I know what I like. And if hopefully one day I'm in a position where I can spend some money on that's why I wouldn't, realistically, even if I had the money, I wouldn't go CVO. I really would not, because I don't want that big that big wheel in the front. I just don't think that's cool. I don't like their paint jobs either. I'm not looking to ride my motorcycle around letting everybody know that I spent like $50,000 on my bike. Realistically, I'm just daydreaming right now. But I would just get an Ultra Classic. I don't think Ultra Classics exist anymore. That was the last Harley I had was an Ultra Classic, but I forget all the acronyms. FLH, TCU, I, or some crap like that. But I really would just do man, I forget that. I would want to have the hard bags and then the bag in the back, the equivalent of whatever the Ultra Classic is. I probably wouldn't do the same. I know, because the Street Glide has a fairing attached to your bars. I would do the other one. I forget. I don't remember. And that's where people are like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, you're right. I don't remember every model. Everything gets updated. I really don't care. you try to memorize all these acronyms. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. That doesn't mean I never owned. You could go to any Harley dealership and pull up my name. You'll be able to, I'm sure, pull up all the things that I've spent money on. So, and all the bikes that I've owned. So, I don't think there's any. I think the transparency is right there. It's obvious. I don't think I need to say anything else. You know, anyone can pull up my YouTube channel. You'll be able to find out what my name is based on my Instagram or whatever. And you could easily go to any Harley dealership and know whether I'm telling you the truth or not. So I'm not here to, I have nothing to prove. I really don't. If someone wants to believe me, they can. If they don't want to believe me, they don't have to. You know, I'm not, and if you don't believe me, I'm okay with that. You know what? I mean, that's all the thing I say. You want to call me a liar to my face, that's fine. Because I realize if someone calls me a liar to my face, the only person they're making a fool out of is themselves. That's what I realized, is I have the history and the people that I've connected myself with. I don't have to mention anyone's name. I don't have to name drop, and that's why I think I've gotten better. Is I'm not looking to mention anyone's name in my videos. You know, either you can do your own research and see who I have and who I am and where I've been, and if you want to believe that, you can believe it. If you don't want to believe it, you don't have to, and that's just the truth. You know, I think my actions stand alone, and I'm just literally here on YouTube because I want to vocalize my own desires and aspirations, what I want to continue to do and to accomplish. So I absolutely would love to get back into the motorcycle game. The only thing I see here's the other thing though, I think my Ultra Classic was an 09, so I would definitely be curious to see how they've addressed like the heating issues. I know when I would take my wife, we would go on day trips with our motorcycle, like it would get hot. I know I live in Southern Nevada, so it's insanely hot, but I'd like to see kind of like these newer bikes. And my bike was a 96 cubic. I forget all the engine designations or what they are, but I think I did rebuild the upper. It went to 103. So, and I know right now they're running what 117s or whatever, but I'm just saying, like now I'm daydreaming back again. I would buy, I'll just say Ultra Classic or equivalent, whatever that means. And then instead of, you know, if I had that excess money, the difference between limited and CVO, I would rather take that money and then spec out some Screaming Eagle things and then dump that 10 G's into the motor. That's just me personal. You know, I don't feel like the CVO gives me what I would want. CVO, I feel like you're getting those wheels, which I don't see the point of. The paint job, I don't see the point of that. I mean, really, for me, the CVO, I wish they had a CVO line, like a sleeper CVO line, where it's like, I'm not looking to really make everyone, I'm not really trying to be flashy. I know that some people, that's their thing. They want everyone to know how cool they are, which is cool. You know, if that's your thing, you want to let everyone know how cool you are, that's cool. But I would much rather get a stock one step down from the CVO and then spend the difference, you know, spend you know, 7,000 or 8,000, put that into the motor, and then now you have the motorcycle that I would want. That's what I would want. And the reason I would go Screaming Eagle is because I just like, I think it works better. I know you could do, I know there's a bunch of brands with cams and that do like whatever. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's my bias, because when I rebuilt my motor, I'm not necessarily a gearhead. I like working on stuff. I mean, I you know, change the oil on my bikes, look at stuff, inspect it, but I just would much rather be able to take my bike to any Harley dealership. They can pull up the parts that I have in there. I just like it when, or, you know, even I think Harley definitely, I think you should do, why not do a thing where I could just spec it out from the factory? I don't see why. I think that, why are we still, you know, I'm just saying hypothetically, why couldn't I just, from the website, go there, pick out what model I want, you know, pick out what Screaming Eagle parts I want, and then why couldn't it just be built to my spec? And maybe you shoot me a picture of the gentleman or the lady that builds out my engine, and I would love that. I would love that if you did the same thing BMW does, where I would absolutely take advantage of that. I know a lot of people, when they're getting their M3 or whatnot, they will fly to Germany and take ownership of their car and then drive it around in Germany and then have it be shipped here. I would love to do that with Harley. You know, I'm just saying, I think it would be cool if I could go on the website and spec out my bike with all the parts, maybe get some updates through email or maybe on website. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll get crazy with it and say, look, what if you had each one of those people who are building, maybe they have a YouTube channel and then they could post pictures. I'd be like, yeah, or a video, excuse me. I think that'd be cool too. Because I think there's that personal touch that makes the biggest difference, you know. And then I would love to just fly to Wisconsin, you know, take ownership of my bike, and then I could ride it wherever I would want to go. And that's just me. Maybe I'm just silly. Maybe I'm this silly fat man on a bicycle riding around with my son in the back in a trolley. But that's what I think would be cool. I really do. I do love the color choices too, what they're doing. Harley, they're releasing those, they did silver, they did a green, I think it's called like army green. I appreciate that as well. Let me think. No, I'm grateful for Harley Davidson as a company. I really am. You know, I remember that a few years ago I sold a lot of my stocks and stuff, but I had Harley stock because I think I still have BMW stock only because I own, you know, I think I'm a big proponent of owning stock in companies that you own the product. I really think that's important. You know, why am I going to own 2 BMWs, but then I have no shares in the company? You know, I think that's where you say, you know, I think a lot of people, they think that, you know, you go to vote every 4 years and you think that that's going to make a difference. I don't think so. I think you vote with your money, you know, and then take it one step further. So say I vote with my money by owning or buying 2 BMWs, and then I take it one step further and I say, look, I want to even be more included in the process, so I'm going to buy shares of the company. So now not only do I own the product, I also own shares, a part that I'm invested interest in the company. And then I think that's when you start to become a voice. I really do. I think that's when you start to become a voice. Because you're like, okay, now it becomes kind of almost undeniable for that company to like not listen to you, because they're like, okay, not only does this person own the product, they own shares in the company. So technically I'm part owner. I mean, what's wrong with saying that? What's wrong with me saying, not only do I own BMW vehicles, I'm also part owner in the company. Maybe it's a very, very small part, but I think that's how you start anything, right? You don't start out, I think, anybody. Look, I mean, I appreciate Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson did not start out with this huge company now making amazing firearms. Now he started out just literally working on 1911s, and then making parts for 1911s, and then as you progress over the decades, then actually making his own 1911s, and then look now developing his own designs. I just think that's awesome. It's freaking awesome. I greatly appreciate IDPA as an organization, and Bill Wilson and his wife Joyce as just human beings. I really do, because they show that, you know, you don't things like that don't come overnight. There's decades and decades of hard work, decades of putting in the time every day, day in and day out, 7 days a week, just hustling, grinding. That's what I think a lot of people, myself, maybe I was delusional, thinking that maybe there's like a payday, and you just get a payday and then you can sit on my butt and then reap the rewards. I don't think that's real. That's not real. I think it's really about grinding every day. That for me, that's what it's about. Seeing that constant improvement. And that's where it goes back to Governor Newsom, and just success is not a destination, it's a direction. That's absolute truth. If I want to be successful, the direction I go every single day, what I do every single day, every decision that I make every single day is gonna dictate where I take myself and where I take my family and where I take my future aspirations and what I want to accomplish in the future. I mean, I just literally spent the last 20, 30 minutes trying to vocalize to myself. And that's the thing, that's the truth. I don't care if anyone's listening. I'm trying to vocalize to myself the direction I want to take my own life, the people I care about. There's so many things I'm into and passionate about. And I really hope that I get decades more on this planet. And I haven't even, I just touched the surface. I love musicals. I love music in general. I would love to spend time actually learning to play the saxophone again. I love the saxophone. Music is one of those things that it just touches you, like mathematics at the core. I mean, it's really something special. So that's another thing. Video games, the same thing. I mean, when I was heavy into video games, that was over 2 decades ago with my friends in high school and college. You know, I think I've said this already, but esports did not exist when I was a kid, when I was a young adult. I would love for that. And I think that's where a lot of younger people, they take it for granted. They don't realize that, you know, when I was in college, I think myself and a lot of the people I was friends with, we absolutely would have went into video games as a career or whatever, making money, but it didn't exist. It didn't exist. You were just doing it as a hobby, for pleasure, enjoyment. You didn't get paid. You didn't make any money. It was only that, I forget what his name was, where he started making like motherboards for Asus. I can't remember his name, but that was kind of one of the first people, the pioneers. And this was well after I was already, you know, doing whatever I had to do to make money. But I remember that. Destroyer, I can't remember his name, but this was like 2 decades ago. But that was one of the first people. Almost home, Baba. So I'm just saying it's important. I say to myself, it's important to realize that I think that's what age gives you, is that humble, if you take it to heart. I'm just saying, for me, it's taught me not to take anything for granted, because, you know, a lot of the things now, the opportunities that you have as a young person did not exist. They did not exist when I was in my 20s. And so I'm trying to take advantage of that as well. And so maybe I'm behind the curve. Maybe people will say, well, look, you're 40, you're over the hill. I disagree, because I have the life experience, bro. You might have the age, but I have the life experience. I know what it's like to not have all these things. So I'm not going to take it for granted. And I think that's a huge advantage. That's not a disadvantage. I think that's a huge advantage, to not take things for granted, to realize that when I was a child, you know, the internet was in its infancy. You know, you had to wait like 5 minutes for like a picture to load up. I think that keeps me in check for myself. I'm just talking to myself. You know, and there's advantages and disadvantages to everything. So I'm grateful that I can do this, that I can ride around on my bicycle with a microphone close to my face, recording, put my ideas into video format, so that way one day I can look back on them and be like, yes, I like that idea, or no, I was a dummy, or, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that ability to reflect and the honesty that video and audio provide for me, because I can't lie to myself. I can't be like, well, I didn't really believe that. No, I got myself on camera, and that's why I think it's important to get myself on camera, and to not only record myself, but to be willing to humble myself and acknowledge that I do err. I make errors on a daily basis. I speak out of character. I say things that I don't mean. I absolutely do. And I tell my wife that. And I hope one day she takes that to heart, you know. I think we all do. If we're honest with ourselves, we all say things that we don't mean, and that we get heated. And I am not making excuses. I want to apologize for speaking out of character. But I really hope that not only my wife, but anyone that knows me, bears witness to my actions. And the only thing I'm looking for in my life is a reckoning. That's it. That's all. You know, if I am able to do all these things with Legos or motorcycles, cars, whatever, real estate I'm into too. I love real estate. I don't know, precious metals, watches, crossbows, all these things, all these hobbies that I have. I hope that I can develop them into something where I just connect myself with other people who are into them. But if that doesn't happen, that's fine. But all I want is a reckoning. You know, like, I feel like that I've done good things in my life. I've done bad things as well. But I hope that when I come to the end of my life, that there's some sort of reconciliation. I don't know. Or maybe that's something that won't happen either. Who knows? But at the very least, that's what I would like. And I'm going to be positive and respectful. And hopefully that day comes when things just get reconciled. You know, I don't know. Maybe and I'm just being silly now. I'm just being silly. Please, I'm gonna put my face up into the mic. Maybe my people will come for me. my people will come for me, and that's fine. That's what I've been hoping for. Maybe the reality is I'm not from this planet. Maybe my people will come for me. I'm just being silly, I know. People are gonna be like, that was it, that's the moment, that's all we needed for him to tell us the truth. This guy thinks he's not from this planet. What is he thinking? What is he thinking? We all have these ideas. He doesn't have any new ideas. All his ideas have been thought before. In fact, I thought of all these ideas already, which is fine. I mean, I'm not saying I'm special. I'm absolutely not. I'm sure every man, woman, and child has thought of all the things that I have just discussed in this last hour and a half or whatever this is. It's fine, but I need to figure it out for myself. I need to think about it for myself. I'm okay with that. If someone was like, well, you know what? I've already thought of all the things that you've thought about, and I got all the answers. Well, that's fine for you, bro. Or ma'am. Bro, ma'am. Sir, ma'am. That's cool if you've already figured everything out. I'm trying to figure it out for myself. That's the riddle. I think the riddle of life is I need to figure it out for myself. And that's why I say the same way I started this, I'm not a wise man. I'm absolutely not a wise man, because the reality is I've only learned from my own experiences, but I can say at least I've learned from my experiences. And that's what I'd like to leave you with, because now we're almost to the road and I'm calling it quits. I'm calling it quits. This was a great workout. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll be with you tomorrow. If I wake up, that's if, and I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just saying that people that I've cared about deeply and immensely, they have gone to bed and they didn't wake up the next day. They passed away. So I say that in a positive, loving way, and in the hopes of inspiring people to be positive. I think that anything I say can be taken either which way, any way you want. I say that I hope I'm here with you tomorrow because I want to be alive. I appreciate life. I'm grateful to be alive. I hope I can spend 60 more years on this planet. I really do, because there's so many things that I'm interested in that I want to develop or even rekindle my romance with all these disciplines, the people that I connect with when I'm into these disciplines. So I think the future is bright, and it is whatever you want it to be. And I want to have a long, prosperous, fruitful future with a lot of people that I think I've already made clear on YouTube, or maybe I haven't made it clear. Maybe I just need to do a better job of making it clear. So thank you. I love you. Have a blessed day. I didn't even get into, I love philosophy too, philosophy and religion. Those were my major and minor in college. Shout out to, I'm not going to, look, I'm just saying, there's a lot of churches, and not just churches, just people who think. I think maybe churches, they're just the closest representation of what what I think I've tried to do the last hour and a half, is just think about ideas and express them in a positive way. I think that's what church is about. Just connecting with people about ideas that are not just, hey, what car do you drive? Hey, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that might be the stepping stone into starting a conversation with someone. But at the end of the day, I want to connect with people at a deeper level than just the superficial things. So thank you. I love you. Have a blessed day. If you don't want to have a blessed day, have a good day. Have a healthy day. I'm going to get some cholesterol in my body because I'm very hungry right now. Maybe we'll go to the gas station. I like to go. We get some chips with my son. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. Maybe we'll take a ride in the automobile. I do have to start my car. I haven't been driving my car. I know it's like a 12-year-old car, but I do like to start her up, once every week, I think. I'm not really driving a lot. I got nowhere to go. But I do enjoy driving my automobile. So thank you. I've said this a third time. Look, this is how it is when I remember when I was a kid, and like you talking on the phone with your girlfriend, you're like, you say goodbye like 100 times. You're like, okay, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. So I think that's where I'm at right now. I'm just in this relationship with the planet Earth. I say, look, thank you. I'm going to say it again. Thank you. I appreciate you. Everything you do, even if you don't like me, even if you hate me, even if you want to see me dead, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I've gone a decade with people telling me that on a daily basis, and I'm all right with that. I really am, because I realize that I do believe, I am superstitious, everything returns back to the individual. If you hate me, I say I love you. I really do. And I hope that you can overcome your hatred the same way that I overcame my hatred, in a positive and respectful manner. Eventually, you just think, if you just let positivity in your mind and you just keep working at it, I think it makes a huge difference. All right, I'll talk to you later. This time for reals. Okay, goodbye.